Player 2 has joined the game.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the two-player co-op review of Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. As always, I'm one of your hosts here, Kevin, along with my brother from my mother, Sean.
How we doing?
Good. So, better late than never. Recording this Sunday night. Should be going up Sunday as we watch the WWE pay-per-view. Rogue One is out. Had a pretty good first weekend. I think they're estimating it's going to do $155 million at the box office.
It's pretty good.
Only behind Captain America Civil War, did 179, and Batman vs. Superman at 166. So we're going to give our thoughts. You should have seen this movie already. Just so you know, we're going to do spoilers.
Full spoilers.
Full spoilers. I'm not even going to say we're going to start with no spoilers because it's been out for a couple days. You should have seen it by now. So if you care about it, you're probably watching this because you've already seen it and you care about it. But just know, we're going to talk about all the spoilers in the movie. Be aware. Spoiler alert. Best movie I saw this year. Better than Captain America Civil War. Better than Batman vs. Superman. It won't be reflected in the box office. And I knew it wasn't going to be. I knew it wasn't going to do Force Awakens numbers because it's not a numbered entry.
Right.
It's better than Force Awakens.
Best movie I've seen this year. Yeah, better than Civil War.
Is it better than Batman vs. Superman, though?
Better than Batman vs. Superman. Better than Force Awakens. So here's the thing.
Yes.
I left the movie not knowing if it was just if I was just prisoner to the moment kind of thing.
The Skip
like,
Bayless reaction.
I think that was the best Star Wars movie ever. I'm like, I'll keep that hush-hush. I'm like, I don't want to say that and have people be like, oh, okay, slow down. I think it's the best Star Wars movie ever.
I'm now, so Sean saw it Thursday night. I went Friday night and took the boys. Through about the first hour and 15 minutes of that movie, I was like, this is fine. Yeah. It's good, but it's not great. Then that last 45 minutes to an hour, that alone took it to the next level. It's better than all the prequels. It's better than Episode 7.
Yes.
It's better than Episode 6.
Yes.
It's better than Episode 4. It's just, it comes down to me now. Is this Empire or is it this? And I saw some people on Twitter today that were like, yeah, Rogue One was good, but if you like it better than A New Hope or Empire, then you've never watched those movies. Shut up. That's your opinion. Don't be an a-hole, because you're being an a-hole, Andrew Goldfarb. You're an idiot for tweeting that. I love you, Goldfarb. Persona. Yay. Not really. This may be my favorite Star Wars movie of all time.
Right now, I will say it's mine.
It's my least hyped I've ever been for a Star Wars movie that's come out while I was actually sentient. Like, I'm not talking like Episode 5 and 6 when I was really little.
Right.
I was so pumped for Episode 1, even though it sucked. Episode 2, even though it sucked. And Episode 3, which was way better than people give it credit for.
I love 3.
I really like 3. 1 and 2, horrible. 3 was really good. But this was... And then Episode 7... Like, I saw my time hop pop up the other day, and it was like, I'm listening to Imperial March on repeat all day today. It was the day that we were going to go see it. And I was like, I'm going to listen to it on repeat all day. I'm so hyped for this movie. Even this, when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. First trailer came out, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then somehow, like, the last trailer they put out or something, I finally was starting to be like, okay, maybe this is going to be really good.
Yeah.
It is really, really, really good.
Yeah, I went into it not really knowing what to expect, knowing that it would be good. There's no way this movie is not going to be good. But I went in just thinking...
Can it be great?
Right. Like, okay, it's a Thursday night. I have nothing better to do. I'll go watch Star Wars. Like, why not?
It's Star Wars.
Right. But it definitely exceeded my expectations. Not that I went in thinking it was going to be meh. I thought it was going to be good to pretty good, and it ended up being excellent.
Yeah. The thing I said going into it was the challenge for Gareth Edwards, who directed it, and he directed the Godzilla movie, which I still haven't seen. Supposed to be really good. But the challenge for him was, okay, you're making a movie where we know how it ends. We know they get the plans. Spoiler alert, that's A New Hope.
Well,
so you know, right, but it's again, it's not the destination, it's the journey. So you have to come up with all these characters, make us care about them when we are more likely than not never going to see them again, because I went into the movie saying everybody's going to die and everybody died.
Now, see, that kind of took me by surprise. I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense because, oh, here's these people that stole the plans for the Death Star. Well, we never heard about them again. What would have happened to them if they didn't die? So it makes sense.
Yep.
But at the same time, I know I had heard these, total rumors because nobody at this point knows, and I began to buy into it myself. I thought that Jin was going to turn out to be Rey's mother.
Yeah, so that ended that
So
rumor.
right, I mean that's
Right.
clearly not the case.
I was thinking the same thing too. I was like, maybe she's the one that gets away, and maybe that's why they did
Right.
this because it all connects. And
But no, I mean literally everybody that was not going to be seen again in a later Star Wars movie, everybody died.
everybody died.
That's different. I mean, it kind of has to be that way because if they didn't, like I said, well, where were they in episodes 4 through 6? Like, that's the only way. That's the only reasonable way to really just write them out of it, I guess.
I just thought of another. I've got to make another note. I don't want to forget to talk about.
But so on the characters,
Yep.
what'd you think of the characters? We're going into it. I mean, similar to episode 7, we know none of the characters.
Yeah. So I had heard the Forrest Whitaker's character, Saul Guerrera. Sounds like he should be a wrestler. But Saul Guerrera was in the Clone Wars cartoons.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't know that.
I've never watched them. Noah watched them. He loves it. And then I also found when Noah was watching the Clone Wars, of course, over the weekend after Star Wars, and the guy, I don't even know how you would describe him, but like the alien-looking guy that had the mask on, and he didn't even really have eyes. He was like brown face, and he was like an alien-looking weird guy.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's in the Clone Wars too. I did not know that, so that was cool.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
The characters. Okay, the guys who stole the show for me was, Donnie Yen, the blind Jedi, and then his
Chirrut
protector.
Imwe.
I cannot remember what
Baze Malbus.
Baze, and I couldn't remember what the other guy's name was. Awesome, and I love to see how they did that one shot where they showed where the Jedi temple's been destroyed, and you see that Jedi statue, huge statue just knocked over in the desert and stuff, and there's no Jedi, they're gone and they make a reference to Obi-Wan being in hiding, and Jimmy. I was happy to see Jimmy Smits. That was cool.
Yeah,
he's one of the characters from the prequels that I liked because
Yep.
Jimmy Smits is awesome. And I love how he says, "I've got somebody that can find him. I trust her with my life." He's talking about his adopted daughter Leia. It was awesome. But it was cool to see that they're like,
Okay, now back up. So maybe I missed something. Because now I'm trying to think of what the context was. But I caught on to the thing about Leia. I trust her with my life.
yeah,
The other one about somebody being in hiding,
that's Obi-Wan.
I took that to mean Yoda.
No, that's Obi-Wan.
But what was he even saying? Because now I can't remember why that even came up. But
I don't remember. It was something that made me think of "Help me, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope." But I can't remember exactly what the line was.
okay.
They had said something about the old Jedi and Anakin. They didn't mention Anakin, but it was something about the old Jedi, and that because we don't even meet Yoda until
5.
episode 5, yeah,
Right.
or even hear about him. I don't think. But I thought those two guys stole the show. Donnie Yen was awesome. Again, holding on to the Force and I'm one with the Force is with me.
I was glad that Chirrut actually had like in the trailers and everything. I just thought he was just going to be this. No, that's Baze.
Oh, well, all I know is his name is Donnie Yen in real life.
Oh, that's
all I
weird.
know.
I
Donnie Yen.
I thought that was
no.
Yoda.
Donnie Yen's the
Okay.
blind guy. Yeah, I mean he's not really blind, but yeah.
But yeah, that's Chirrut. So I thought he was just going to be just very blah. Like I pictured him as not having much of a personality. He was just going to be this blind, like Kenshi basically from Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
just blind guy who just kicks butt. But he actually had I liked his character, and I didn't really think I would. And Baze was pretty cool. I liked the part when they captured Chirrut and they put the mask over him. He's like, "I'm blind.
What are you doing?"
That was pretty good. And then who else? So the main ones, obviously, Jin and
the guy was fine.
Cassian Andor.
I didn't feel as attached to either of them as I do Rey and Finn. Like Ray and Finn, something about their chemistry on screen and everything just grabbed me. Whereas this was like Felicity Jones is somebody I've heard about for a while, but she never registered on my radar or anything.
I only
She
know
did a
her
really good job,
as Stephen Hawking's wife and
Okay.
Theory of Everything. That's the only thing I had ever seen her in. She was good. I loved her. Cassian, I don't know, didn't really.
he was no Han Solo.
He was no Han Solo. He was no Finn. He was
Yeah.
no Poe. He was just. I just didn't really. I mean, he was fine to me. He was just kind of there.
Yep.
What do you think of K2SO?
I expected him. He definitely had the most funny moments in the movie. But what I was hearing going into it, it was almost like he is so sarcastic and so dry that I was expecting him to be cracking left and right. And maybe it just wasn't really a place for that because it's not like it's the funnest movie of all time.
Right. Yeah.
But his one-liners were great. I loved him sacrificing himself, and he's telling him you got to climb up and everything. And he's getting blown up, and he's like finally just
that
wham. I was like, I felt that's what I'll say. I felt worse about him dying than I did Galen Erso. When Galen Erso and Mads Mikkelsen, shout out to
I
you
love
in Death
Mads.
Stranding. I love the Mads, but like he was going to die because again, if he doesn't die, they don't need to go steal the plans. He can just say, "Well, this is what you do."
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like we saw a little bit of the connection in the beginning, and then that was it. You know, he built the Death Star, but he was building it just to build it to keep him indispensable. Like he said, he put the trap in there, but you knew he was going to die. So I was like, when he died, I was like, okay,
right.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Jin, but I'm not attached to that character at all.
Yeah.
The guy was awesome. The guy, Krennic, who was, of course, the guy. And when I saw him, all I could think of is Bingo. You think this gives you power over me? In The Dark Knight Rises. He was really good because he's a good bad guy. I've seen him in a few things before. What have I not touched on before we get into the? I was gonna go into the CGI characters, but let's hold that off for right now.
As far as characters go, I think that's pretty much it. I think we touched on all of them.
CGI. So the first CGI character though, and the pilot. The pilot was weird to me. The pilot that defected because he defected and then
No, I'm thinking of Baze. What was his name?
it was something like that. Bojangles or something.
But I can't remember.
So they didn't trust him, so they sent him down. This movie was not perfect. I do have a couple critiques. First, at the beginning, before I get into that, it was very jumpy, and I understand they're introducing a lot, but it's like, okay, we're at this planet, here's them. Okay, and then we're at this planet, and then we're at this planet. I'm like, I just saw 5 planets, and I can't remember any of the names, so it's just, I understand you don't want it to be a 3-hour movie.
Is Jeddah.
Yeah.
That was the only one I
and then,
knew beforehand.
Right. So that was not great, but I understand they had to introduce everybody and they had to set the world and all that stuff. Why the hell did they have this mind-reading monster in it? That served no purpose, and we have no idea what the hell he got out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he just
totally
he was
forgot
like
about that.
and he sucked out his memories or something. We never hear anything. We see the pilot in the cell, and he's just like, I'm the pilot. I'm the pilot. And then he's like, wait, no, yeah, I'm the pilot. I'm the pilot. And then he wakes up, Bodhi. And then nothing happened. I'm like, why the hell did you have the weird slug monster trying to read his mind?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, until you just mentioned that, I totally forgot about that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that
that was like,
didn't really need to be there.
That was 2 minutes you could have saved. But
yeah,
when I saw, I think it's so Krennic. I can't remember when Tarkin comes in, but I think Krennic was out. He was like on the deck of the Death Star, or maybe he was on a Star Destroyer at that point. I can't remember.
The Death Star doesn't exist yet. Well, I guess it's being built. Well, no, I guess
it was built. Yeah,
it was already basically built by that point.
Whenever it was, but then I see him walking up, and I'm like, "Oh, that's going to be Tarkin. That's crazy." And then he turned. I'm like,
"At first,
this dude is dead. What the hell?" It was very. At first, I was like, "Is that all CGI? Is it just his face? What's going on here?" And it took me out of the movie because I was like,
"Right,
this isn't possible. You should have." And my first instinct was you should have just recast it and done a lot of makeup, not CGI. As it went on, though, because he's such a stoic figure, like he's not like Han Solo or Luke with a lot of emoting and everything. after I got past that, it worked for me. I did not see that coming.
I didn't see it coming either. It obviously looked good. It looked realistic, but there's something about. I mean, it's impressive what they did, but other than maybe his mouth, he looked almost perfect. There's something about his mouth, and I'm being picky here, but it didn't look like it was moving right. It almost looked like too animated. Something looked off about it.
Yeah. Did you think he was all CGI at first? Because I did too. But it turns out
They just CGI'd.
they just I read about it after
face over somebody.
Cushing's
else.
face over
Yeah,
the
yeah.
actor. Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting way to do it.
And he was in the movie a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else you do it unless you usually just show him just shorter cuts, like
Right.
brief snippets of him.
Or
and
just from
if
the
he's
back.
talking. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
him just from the back. So I don't. It doesn't really take away from it, but it's just a weird kind of. I don't know. It wasn't so bad that I couldn't even pay attention, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why are they doing this? But
It
it was obviously CGI.
Yes, it was clearly CGI. And then we get to the end of the movie with the other CGI character, which that was perfect because I don't even know if she said anything.
All she said was hope.
That's right.
What did you give me? What is it? And she says hope. That's it.
But it's just like
She looked almost perfect.
that looked like it was Leia there. It was
And she only had
crazy.
the one line.
So you didn't
it's-
have to a lot. Yeah,
Right.
it was a lot easier to do her. But so all that made me think of. Have you seen Fast and Furious 7 yet? I can't remember.
No, but see, that looked. I mean, he didn't say anything when you see him at the end.
But he looked horrible.
Really? See, I thought it looked good. Maybe
When I saw it,
again,
because
but-
I saw it in the theater, and I was damn near crying because I love Paul Walker. Not to get off on a tangent here, but I love Paul Walker. I love those movies. So that movie was very emotional for me. And then to see him pull up in the white car, like oh my god, it's just emotional and everything. But then it's his brother with his face on him, looked nowhere near as good as this. And again, Fast and Furious, they don't have ILM working for them.
Right.
But I'm like, how did you make these two look that good? And you couldn't just get Paul Walker to smile and have it look like it was actually Paul Walker there.
Yeah.
Those were nuts. When I did, because I remember, so we had the conversation with Dad. He's like, so are they going to bring back all the old characters? I'm like, no, this is all new characters. I'm so glad I didn't have anything
does Dad
spoiled or
even
anything.
know who
He was asking
Tarkin
about
is?
No, but he was asking about Han, Leia,
Well,
and
yeah.
Luke. Yeah.
Okay.
He knew when he when he saw him, he was like, "Oh yeah."
Oh,
I was
that
like,
guy.
I said, "Well, you were kind of right, Dad." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." I know." But as soon as I saw Tarkin in theater, I was like, "Okay, well that's not going to be the only one." I didn't know they were going to end it within like a half hour of when A New Hope starts or
Right. I mean,
whatever
they
it was.
ended it almost to the minute of where.
She's on the ship. She is on the ship where Vader gets her from before. So
Yeah.
all she's got to do is plug it
put
into
it into
R2.
R2, help me Obi-Wan.
Which there's a
send
little
him
bit
off.
of a thing there because we saw R2 and C-3PO down on the ground at the base.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so how did they all of a sudden end up with Leia up there?
Yeah. But I mean, that was earlier on in the movie, right?
Right.
I mean,
I don't think it was right before the final battle. So they've got hyperdrives and stuff, so it doesn't really matter. But
Right.
one
One thing I thought was going to happen near the end there, wait, I don't even know if he had a name. I thought we were going to see Akbar. And we never
when I kept
did.
seeing the
other
Akbar
guy.
look
a bike. I thought we were going to see like Lieutenant Akbar or
right,
something.
right, like
he's not an
Lieutenant
admiral.
Gordon before
Right.
he's Commissioner Gordon.
I thought
yeah.
we were going to see Akbar, but we didn't.
That must have been his brother, whoever that guy was. He
yeah.
looked just like him. He was just more greenish or something. He wasn't
Yeah,
the
he had a
same like
different
reddish
color.
brownish color and stuff. So yeah, like I said, so the first hour and 15 minutes or so was like, okay, this is fine. What did you think it was just like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. Up until
I'm
they
trying to think
finally
of when, because it sounds bad to say, yeah, that from Scarif on,
Right.
was like, holy crap. But I'm trying to think of what the point was before that all of a sudden I was like really into it. The beginning was kind of iffy just because I'm trying to figure out who's who and all that.
But then they even had the
Maybe it's around when they go to the rainy,
Yeah.
like the facility
where Mads is,
right?
Where Galen
Maybe
is.
it was around there.
But even like before that, they did have the Death Star. I didn't think the Death Star was going to fire 2 shots. And have we ever
Right.
seen the Death Star the Death Star just do a little eek and not just
Not destroy the whole planet.
right? I don't think
I
we'd
don't
seen
think
that.
So. Yeah.
So that was cool to see it. It was cool to see it fire twice. But yeah, so we had the first one. I didn't think Saul Guerrero was going to die. I thought the way the trailers and stuff, I thought Forrest was going to be there fighting with him the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't. He didn't really see much of the movie.
But again, literally everybody dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was when they went to the rain plane. I cannot remember it for the life of me. They did almost make me believe, though, before they dropped the bomb on the bridge where Mads got hit and stuff. I was like, I started thinking for a second, he's not going to die yet.
Right.
Maybe he can't just tell them. Maybe he has to show them, or they have to have the actual plans. It's not like, well, there's a hole here. Like I guess it does make sense. You would need the actual plan, so they could have kept him alive.
Right.
But those last 45 minutes, man, from the second they went rogue, and I like how he was like, our call sign is Rogue One.
Rogue One.
I was like, see, Noah?
They said the name of the movie.
But then did you also notice, I can't remember what it is now, but Luke, they made it a point to the guy who, there was a guy who, during the big dog fight, there was a guy who has Luke's red whatever it was. That it was Luke's call sign or his name. I don't know
really?
the term. And he bit the dust. So then it's
Was
like,
he the fat guy?
I can't remember.
There was one fat pilot.
I can't remember
that he
who it
got
was,
blown up.
but there was a guy who had Luke's actual name, and it's like, oh, well, that's how Luke gets
Luke,
involved.
yeah.
Then he takes over the ship. So that was awesome. The last 45 minutes, was that the best dogfight you've seen in Star Wars? That whole, even like I love the way they did them smuggling themselves through the shield. The shield was cool as hell. But then actually when all of the Alliance actually shows up, and it's just CGI has come so far.
Yeah.
To where that didn't look, nothing looked out of place at all. That looked like I was like watching actual X-Wings and TIE fighters fly around and shoot at each other and Star Destroyers and all this. That was the best dogfight I think I've ever seen in Star Wars. For as much as the prequels had issues, they had some really cool dogfights. This was perfect. This was better than everything at the end of Force Awakens, at least to me. When Poe was going and he was flying in to blow up Starkiller Base and everything.
Right.
I thought it was the best dogfight they've ever done on screen.
I think so. Yeah.
Everything on the planet was so stressful and well done. And again, like we had seen the previews, we knew they were going to be on a tropical setting, but just seeing that with that, I call them AT-ATs. Sorry if I'm wrong, and I should call them AT-ATs. But the AT-ATs just coming out of nowhere. It was like the T-Rex coming out of the jungle. Like, no! I thought it was so well done. They had a plan. They stuck to it. Everybody had their part. The one thing I kind of got confused for a little bit, and then I realized I thought that they had to get to the communication tower to not only tell them, hey, we're going to send the planes, but to actually get the planes up there. So then when dude bites the dust and everything blows up, I was like, well, now what? What are you going to do? I didn't realize there was just going to be
Right.
Huge,
He was
just to tell them, you got to get
say,
the shields down.
Be looking for, take the shields down because we're going to send you a message. And
by the way, how freaking cool. I thought the dude was committing suicide when he's like, okay, iceberg right ahead. And that's Titanic, you know what I mean? But he hit the throttle all the way to hit the Star Destroyer, knock it into the other Star Destroyer. I was like, oh my God, this is freaking awesome.
That was awesome.
This is so cool. And then, of course, they hit it and the shield goes away. And
one thing I will say, so this seems like which it makes sense, but this harkens back to the episode 4, 5, 6 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't even occur to me until we saw Vader at the end. I was like, oh, this is the first lightsaber we've seen the whole movie.
I
didn't even occur to me until then. And it's weird that you could have a good Star Wars movie where you're not just like, hello, somebody gonna pull out a lightsaber here. Like, it didn't even occur to me until you see Vader, and I was like, oh God, I forgot about lightsabers.
Yep.
Like,
whereas the prequels were like, we're gonna have a dude with 4 lightsabers, and he's gonna spin them around, and all of a sudden Yoda's gonna drink from the.
By the way, small tangent. Yes. I came across episode 1 on TV the other day. Probably the first time. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw a chunk of it. Probably the first time I've seen any length of that movie in, honestly, probably 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much worse than I remember.
When I watched it with the boys leading up to episode 7, I was just like, I can't.
I don't
this
think
is
I
so
truly
much-
appreciated
it's-
how bad it was.
Yeah.
Like how over the top Jar Jar and just all of the
and the
comedic
annoying
relief was.
little Anakin, like
The whole movie, Jar Jar is basically like, oh, here you go.
Oh, Lisa, drop a
I
dissa.
dropped it. Like the whole movie,
Right.
I'm just like, and
then
then the
there's-
pod race takes like 15
Yes.
minutes.
And then you got poor Ewan McGregor and Liam, like, what the hell is this? You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, it's just so
it's
bad.
so bad, and that's why like Ewan McGregor was the best part of that trilogy. He was, awesome.
Yes.
And Natalie Portman was awesome too. And Hayden Christensen wasn't the best, but even like Anakin, Ewan deserves to have an Obi-Wan spinoff with a good with Lucas out of the way, not interfering, and without all this crazy
Yeah.
just everything's on a green screen. You're not, you've got nothing to actually act against. Like he deserves an
Yeah.
Obi-Wan movie, and he wants to do it. He's made that known. But so let's get into this. So then Vader. So I had heard Vader was in it for because I had listened to a couple, like Jeremy Johns' review and Chris Stuckman's review, because they did non-spoiler reviews. I know they're safe. They're not going to screw anybody over. So I listened to their review, and Jeremy was like, I hope you're not wanting to see a lot of Vader because he's in there for, I think, 3 or 4 minutes. So I thought, and that was cool too. So then we saw it from that scene from the previews or from the trailers where the guy walks in with the hood and he kneels down with the red guards there.
Oh, Royal Guard.
Yeah, and then the thing comes down. You see Vader in his like containment unit. It's like, that's crazy. I've never seen that. Like, is that how we never knew that? He's when you don't see him, he's on
He's
ice
just-
somewhere,
right.
just being kept alive. So that was cool. I thought when we saw Vader, when he comes out and he talks to Krennic and everything, and James Earl Jones, God, it was perfect. It seemed like something was different about his even the boys, they both said something looked a little bit different about Darth Vader.
It just looked a little more modern. When you see him in like the old, I think it looked like it did at the end of episode 3 for the
Yeah.
little bit that you see it. But when you look
that's
at
true.
the old movies, it just looks like
It's like the helmet
made
or
of,
the
like-
cape or something.
it looked like it was more
different.
matte instead of like
Yeah.
shiny finish or something. And the old ones, it always his suit, like the material just looked cheap. Like it
Yeah.
looked like he was wearing like a garbage bag or something. And it's I don't think there's anything drastically different about it. I think it's the same suit. It probably just looked better.
Yep.
I think he was in it an adequate amount of time because it's not really about him.
Yes.
He has a purpose, but it's mostly behind the scenes, so you shouldn't really see him a lot. And I was pretty happy with his presence in the movie, but I did find myself a little bit at the end kind of thinking like, this has Joker and Suicide Squad written all over it. Like, I kind of wish he was in it a little bit more.
Right. He didn't have
And
to
then
be,
you see him at the end, and then it's
Yes.
that was like, okay, I'm satisfied.
Oh my
now.
God. That completely took me off guard because I was like, this is, they get away. They've got the plans. That's it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they stop. And then there's just, you can see Vader, the outline of him. And even up until then, I didn't think he was going to turn, for some reason, I didn't think he was going to turn on the lightsaber because I didn't think there was going to be any in this.
Yeah.
And when that thing lights up, I just went, oh my God, oh my God,
It
oh my
was
God.
so good.
And the most badass Darth Vader scene we have ever seen on film. That was unreal.
Well, what was so cool about
Oh.
it is it's the first time you get to see like quote unquote modern Darth Vader, where he's not just like, hiya, hiya.
Because even when Anakin, once he became Vader, it was just the end of the movie. That was it.
Right. Yeah. So it was cool to get to see Vader in like modern fight choreography
Yep.
type stuff, and just without being over the top like Yoda or Grievous or something. Like good, just solid lightsaber. I mean, he was the only one with one, not a lightsaber duel or anything, but
Just
it's just so
down.
cool and just
Holy,
destroying.
just
them.
like whoom, whoom, grab you, throw you over here, lift you up. He held a couple guys like in air, and I was like, "Nah, I'm going to
Yeah.
throw you over there now." That was I don't know how long. I said 2 minutes. I don't think it lasted 2 minutes. It was probably about a minute. That whole scene, and then when he runs that guy through, when he gets to the door and he hands the disc off, and then the door opens and it go through the saber. I'm like, God, I wish lightsabers were real. I just want to. I would
That would be so
probably cut
cool.
off every limb that I have, but the coolest minute to 2 minutes of Darth Vader I've ever seen. We've, like you
Yeah.
said, we've never seen him that mobile and
Right.
and dexterous and whatever I'm trying to say. completely caught me off guard. I didn't see it, and then we get to the very end where they actually hand it to Leia. And at first, when they showed her from the back, I was like, ah,
Right, we're not going to see
and then she turns around and I was like,
oh my God.
holy shit, that's Carrie Fisher. That is
Right.
Carrie
That is
Fisher.
a
Like
young Carrie
30
Fisher.
years ago. How did they do that?
40 years ago.
Whatever. God, we are 40 years ago. That's crazy. So well done. So
It was perfect.
the other thing I was going to say, of course, because everything with me goes back to Metal Gear. Did that not remind you, that Darth Vader scene reminded me of Gray Fox from Metal Gear Solid 1? The hallway right before you go in to fight him, where Snake walks up and you see all the guys are dead. Like, if you would have actually seen that all happen, it made
would've
me
looked
think
like
of
that, yeah.
Gray Fox and Metal Gear Solid 1.
I could see that. But no, I didn't think of that.
Not Venom
Shockingly.
Snake. Not Venom Snake.
No.
Anything else you want to add on Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Rogue One, a Star Wars movie? I still say, and that was the other thing I wanted to touch on. What did you think? Because there was rumors, we didn't know which way it was going to go. No title crawl.
See, that didn't even cross my mind. And then when I was reading stuff about the movie after I saw it,
You're like, oh.
I read about how, they confirmed that there will be no crawl. And I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of glad I didn't know. I get why they didn't do it, but it was still a good opening. They still had the long time ago.
When
And then
it's just when I see that come
title,
up on screen, it's
but
like,
no
oh my
crawl.
God.
And then, okay, let's get into it. Like,
Noah-
I think it was fine.
Noah asked me, he was like, they're not going to do the story thing? I was like,
Right.
No, it's a different kind of a movie. But they didn't do the theme either. Unless they did it right at the very end, which is that's what I can't remember, is when it cuts to the credits. Did they do the
I think they did.
Did they?
They must have.
Because they didn't do it at the beginning. They didn't do it
Right.
anywhere in it. I couldn't remember if they did at the end.
It must have been there. I think it was. Maybe that was just in my head. I don't know.
I can't remember. So any final thoughts? Did you hit all your notes?
I hit all mine, yeah.
Out of 10, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's not perfect. I still, my favorite movie of all time, which I do think it's a perfect movie, is Dark Knight. I think that is a 10 out of 10. There's nothing about that movie I would change. There's been a couple others that are up there, but I really think I need to go back and watch. I will say this, when I got home, I was so tired and everything, but I was like, I want to plug in episode 4 right now and just pick right up. Like
I did.
When this comes out, I'm going to go, okay, Blu-ray, okay, boom, boom, okay, go. All right, now we're into episode 4. Like, I just want to just...
Well, as soon as I did a similar. When it was over, I just looked up. I had to look up the crawl for episode 4, and I wanted to like read it. I was like, oh
gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yep. And it all made sense. And then yesterday, we'll save some of this for the actual podcast. But when I was on a bus home from Chicago, now that I have AT&T and DirecTV, I can stream DirecTV for free. Episode 4 was on.
Oh
it
my
allowed
God.
me to start from the beginning, so I started watching it just to see that whole
Right,
opening
just right
thing.
where it picks up,
Right,
yeah.
yeah. So I watched like the first 10 minutes of it, and that was it. But it was just so good.
And it's definitely like, so it's going to get compared to Force Awakens because that just came out last year, and these are the 2 newest movies and everything.
Right.
They
couldn't be more different.
No, I think I had more fun watching Force Awakens because that was just like Metal Gear Solid 4 in terms of nostalgia. We're going to hit you with
Right.
every nostalgia bomb we can. We're going to take episodes 4, 5, and 6 and put them in one movie and do that. We're going to bring Vader back and we're going to kill Han. Spoiler alert! It's been a year. We're going to do all this stuff. Whereas this was just like, it's like Dad was saying at the dinner table tonight. This stands, even apart from being a Star Wars movie, it is a really good movie, not just a good Star Wars movie.
You don't need to know the Star Wars lore.
No.
You appreciate it better if you do. There's a lot of callbacks to the other movies that you may miss, but I think if you don't know Star Wars, you would still like that movie.
Yeah.
It would be a good movie, but you miss out on a lot of it. I think.
And it's still, so it's a rebellion, and it's the little guy fighting against the big guy and oppression and all this other stuff. So you can watch it without, like you said, without having any care or knowledge about Star Wars, and it's fine.
Right.
I don't know that it's, I wouldn't say it's probably a 10 out of 10, but it's like 9.5, 9.8 out of 10 or something.
I was going to say
it's
9.5.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I'll be really interested to see. It probably won't do 2 billion like Force Awakens did, just because it doesn't have a number attached to it.
But it'll do 1.5.
It'll do over a bill for sure. Like
Yeah.
Batman Superman only ended up at 875, I think. Civil War hit 1 billion. I don't remember how much
really?
over it went.
Oh, jeez. Maybe it won't hit 1.5. It'll hit 1 billion, though. Especially as word starts to spread, like how good it is.
Right. I was telling
I think
everybody,
it's pretty unanimous. Like I haven't heard a single person say it's across the board, this movie is
At
fantastic.
the party we were at last night, I was like, nobody there had seen it yet. I was just like, I can't talk about it with anybody, but I still was just like, if you care about Star Wars, and especially if you care about the original trilogy, you have got to see this movie. You have to see this movie. It is so well done.
That's the thing. Even for people that maybe saw episode 4, older people that saw it when it came out,
Yep.
and just want nothing to do with any of the newer ones, they should see
This is
movie.
your movie. Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic movie. We both love Star Wars Rogue One. That's what I was going to say. It should have just been Star Wars : Rogue One. I don't like Rogue One, a Star Wars story. By the way, I still, as good as this was, I do not want to see that Han Solo movie.
Oh, I'll see it.
I would rather, you know what I'd rather?
I just don't.
I would rather see, just keep Donald Glover, just do a Lando movie. Because I'm not attached to Lando like I am There's only one Han Solo.
Yeah.
And this little punk that they cast as young Han Solo, I can't. I just can't get past it. It's some guy I never heard of, which they had to do. They weren't, like, people wanted them to do Pratt or something. Pratt's too old, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, that would never work.
Right.
I don't want to see that movie. Donald Glover's going to kill it as Lando. He's going to be awesome as Lando.
Yeah, I just don't, it's not going to be like this where everything ties in.
Yes. You don't
Han
have
has
to,
no connection to the rebellion. I mean, he ends up, but as far as what's going on with Han before there, it doesn't, nothing really. You'll get some Greedo backstory and maybe some more stuff with Jabba the Hutt. There'll be some tie-ins like that, but nothing to any of the big picture.
But it's not everything has to be explained. Like people wanted Metal Gear Solid. Again, it all goes back there. If people wanted Metal Gear Solid 5 to tie in more of the blanks and every single missing piece to tie it in. I'm like, but then there's nothing to wonder about. There's nothing to talk about and stuff. So it's not like everything. This is a story that needed to be told because how the hell did you get the plans to the Death Star? And then we find out Galen did it and he put the fuse in there on purpose to have it blow up and everything. Is great.
Yeah.
Great. So we both love it. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Hit the comment section below. Let us know what you think about it. If you didn't like this movie, then we can't be friends. That's really all I got to say about it. Yeah, so this has been our review. Thank you guys for watching. Come on back for more Let's Plays, podcasts, and quick hits.
The occasional movie review.
Yes, here on Two Player Co-op. And until the next time, Sean, go ahead and take us out.
Thank you for playing.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.